Most design portfolios suck.
Hey Toby, you suck!
And mine is the biggest sucky suck. I can't look at it. Why are design portfolios notorious for being bad? I mean, we're designers after all. We should know how to frame something for someone to consume. There's 3 reasons why. The first, and probably most important one, is that we get very emotionally invested in our baby. When it's our portfolio, it's much harder to step back and look at your portfolio for what it really is and have an objective opinion about it. Because if you think it's bad, you're in some sense saying that you're bad designer. You suck. Kind of related to that, design portfolios tend to be very me-focused, meaning that they're kind of designed to talk all about me and what I've done. And although that's a big part of these portfolios, you're not really showcasing what you would bring to the prospect. Why should they hire you as opposed to any other of the designers that are all screaming about how good they are? And the last thing is that most design portfolios just kind of showcase the design. They don't actually go that extra step to answer what I call customer pre-sale questions. These are the things that potential clients have in their mind that they need to have answered before they'd be willing to engage in a conversation with you. So today I'm going to show you how I turned my terrible portfolio, God, it's so bad, into something that I think is going to basically print me money and have clients clamoring at the door to get a piece of this. Specifically, we're going to be redesigning 2 key pages, the home page and the individual portfolio item page. These are the 2 most important pages in the user's journey as they're browsing a portfolio. So we'll start with the home page. All the designers out there are probably cringing and asking themselves, why is this guy using a slab font? It's so bad. So the first thing we're going to do is just get rid of this font and move to a more modern one, like Inter. I mean, this is already just dramatically improved the look and feel of this site. I mean, I can't stress how important it is to use a modern, performant font when you're building your portfolio. It will make or break your design. Next up, we're going to tackle this header. I don't like the signature in the left, and it's also using valuable real estate that these other links could be taking up. So let's just go ahead and get rid of the signature altogether and put the primary links over there. And then on the right, we'll just put all the links that are supposed to be call to actions. A link to my live UI design channel, that's where you are now, and then the primary call to action, which is let's have a conversation, see if we're a good fit. But now that we've moved all this stuff over to the left, we actually have a little more space, so we can add a more drop down here, which gives us a way to add in story, process, and podcast appearances. So big wins all around there. Next, we'll tackle the hero here with the text on the left first. Again, this is very me-focused language. This is about me. I'm a UX designer that actually gets business results. Okay. Cool. Like, enough about yourself. What do you bring to the table that other designers aren't? So we're changing this all together, and we're using a little bit more of this empty space down here. So boom, big bold headline, design that actually drives business results. That's my unique value proposition. Simplify the text significantly, and then add the call to action there again. On the right, this part of your site should really kind of illustrate your unique value proposition to the customer in a visual way, such that they can kind of understand exactly what it is you do without reading the text on the left. And this illustration doesn't really do that for me. So instead, we're going to get rid of this altogether. I know I'm going to have some kind of image, so we'll add a container back in there. And then we'll put a picture of me to make it a little more personal, and then just throw some stats in there that indicates to the user, hey, this guy's actually going to be tracking metrics as opposed to just making things look pretty. We'll also add some logos just underneath here to boost trust a little more. Next, we're going to tackle this big recent work section. This is okay, but there's 3 pieces of content competing for my attention, and the title is super weird. Who does titles like that? First, we'll dim the background color a little bit. Then we'll just start from a fresh slate and get the title fixed. We're also going to add a full width portfolio item this time with a little category in there for people to figure out what they should click on. We'll add another one here, and then I also want to pull people's attention to this channel, because what prospect wouldn't want to see the person they're considering hiring actually doing design work in real time, right? This is kind of a no-brainer. So we're going to try and add a treatment here to pull a little more attention here using a lightly saturated blue. And now we have all this extra space that we just weren't using in the previous UI. So we're going to just slap some testimonials in there. Why not? Social proof is good. It helps answer those pre-sale questions. And we'll finally tackle that cheeky little footer you're seeing down there. First, we're going to make it really dark. That's appropriate for most footer treatments. Add in a simple quote that talks about my practice specifically, and then the navigation links that they're expecting. Nothing too crazy here. And now we have the final result here. I think this does a much better job at answering customer pre-sale questions and speaking from the perspective of value to the buyer as opposed to making this all about me. But there is one more page that we need to tackle that's probably the second most important, and that's the individual portfolio item page. Here you can see my existing one for my Solvi case study. And one thing you'll notice as you start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling is that this is a lot of text. Information overwhelm is very, very common in the design portfolio space because you've done a lot for the client and there's a lot to explain. But just pasting it on a page like this doesn't really do anything for the customer. They just get overwhelmed. So let's fix it. First, you'll notice that I've changed the header call to action color to be saturated blue. Now that we don't have a competing CTA in the header, this is an appropriate treatment. Next, we're going to tackle this header. I'm not using very much space here and I'm only displaying the title. We can do better. We'll bump the size of the title font up quite a bit, add in a view in Figma button so they can see things in context, add some categories in there so they understand what they're actually looking at, and then a simple little description as well. Easy. The body is a little bit more of a challenge. Part of the problem is that I'm just bombarding the user with text right away, but humans are visual creatures, so why not start by showing them some really sexy featured images from the project, and then just letting them scroll through them to get emotionally invested in potentially reading some more. Next, we'll add a secondary navigation in here, which gives users the option to just view an overview first, and then they can dive into the details later if they so choose. So we'll take all this content, throw it into the case study, expand the width a little bit, and then in the overview, we'll just talk about the problem, the solution, and any results I've generated for the client. Let's go ahead and throw a testimonial and a simple little call to action in as well. Overall, I think this does a better job at actually showcasing what I did for the client without overwhelming the viewer with a ton of information. Now, honestly, you could get by just having a homepage and a single portfolio page, but if you want to go the extra step, you can always include pages like your process, which talk about the nuances of your design process with lots of imagery to show potential clients you actually working. And then, of course, if you really want to dive a little deeper, you can pop in a story as well to help them understand you a little bit more and where you're coming from. I want to underscore, though, that if you are going to have a My Story page, you need to deprioritize that, for sure. Most people don't really care about your story until they've already decided that they do want to work with you. And then it's just a casual interest, usually. The story comes second to the main customer questions, at least in my experience. So that's how I've rebuilt my personal design portfolio and turned it into something that I hope will just start printing money for me once I get some eyeballs on this thing. And you should be able to see it via the link in the comments live on marketingdoodle.com when it's ready. But at the end of the day, if you can make a portfolio more focused on the person reading it than yourself, answer all of their pre-sale questions, and try to detach yourself emotionally from the project, you'll just have a significantly better design portfolio. And then all that's left to do it is to start your own YouTube channel to get people to actually look at it. Hope you found this useful, folks. A little different from my standard content. If you do have any feedback on what you would do differently when designing a personal portfolio, please do leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope you have a lovely week. I'll see you in the next one.